Second match of the day here in Group A, as we're about halfway through our double round robin right now, will be the Soniqs going up head-to-head against BDS, the third match for both of these teams. Now, if you would like to head on over to the Bravo stream, you can find that at twitch.tv/rainbow6, the number 6. Bravo, you will see Dark Zero against Damwon Kia, possibly a second place match. Depending, like, surprisingly. So that would be very exciting. They are going to be playing on Villa. I believe they just started, so an opportunity to, it's 1-0 to Damwon Kia, I have just been told. So they are up.
Map.
They are up early, so there you go. Very exciting. I know that the Korean team was riding a big high after their win on G2 yesterday, and certainly, especially considering NIP didn't have a clean win versus Dark Zero. Dark Zero had a very commanding win versus G2. It feels like that group is really, really open, depending on if NIP can come back with some dominant performances today, but perhaps a bit weaker than we might have expected to kick things off. So if you want to head over there, you can go ahead and watch that. That is a Group C match, and that'll be going on all day. So, you know, just keep both open, I guess. Anyway, let's go into Group A. So you guys, again, did not have the opportunity to comment on the Soniqs or BDS. Now, to get where we were, BDS was very dominant. Soniqs had a pretty close win versus Team 1 and then a loss to Cyclops. And we're going to see which maps are in the veto right now.
Ooh, let's get into it, because this could be a really spicy one. I was speaking to Skies about the fact that Soniqs has such, I'm going to say a small map pool, but that's only in NAL. And maybe they're hiding a few things?
Yeah, it's a little strange. They've only played 3 maps throughout the whole NAL, which was Consulate, Chalet, and Villa. And, you know, we talked about it before, even in the NAL broadcast, that it just seems like we don't know if it's a big strength for them. They're constantly able to go to the same 3 maps, or if their map pool is weaker and we're just not sure about it. But the thing is, the season previous, they only played 3 maps as well, which was Chalet, Clubhouse, Oregon. Whereas this season, it's Consulate, Chalet, Villa. So it's kind of a little strange how they just keep getting the same 3 maps in a stage. So we'll see what happens here.
Ooh, they got rid of Villa as well, which is a map that BDS doesn't play and they actually could have gone to, but Consulate is like both of their best and most favorite maps. BDS on Consulate is a fun time. So not only did we get a banger of a map number 1, we also get a banger of a map number 2.
And worth noting that in my conversations with the Soniqs, they said, we always know what map we're going to. We're very well prepared. They really put a lot of the emphasis on doing the research on operator and map vetoes, so they're always comfortable. Now, that said, they did pick Chalet against Cyclops, and they did kind of get rolled on it in the end. Was that more of a stylistic matchup problem, Jess, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I feel like there's 3 maps beyond let's just get rid of Oregon and what just happened. There's 3 maps where Cyclops can manipulate their really aggressive playstyle: Coastline, Consulate, and Chalet. And those are maps where they've been doing that really, really well in their regional leagues. So it's not a surprise to me that a stat-heavy team couldn't quantify something that is not stat-driven. So I think that that's going to be the thing that teams are going to learn very quickly is you can't quantify CAG.
Yeah, and even if you know what they're going to do, that doesn't mean you have the experience in the server to counter it.
Yep.
The lived experience of kind of weird metas or even interregional metas, because that's the thing, at least in most esports, is like, it's one thing to have those stats and those analytics when you're playing against your own region and you kind of have an expectation of how they're going to play. When you haven't had the first-hand reactive experience, it becomes a lot harder. Is that what you find as a player when you go internationally?
I think, too, also for the Soniqs against Cyclops, it was kind of like a mental game. It kind of allowed the Clash and the Montaigne to, tilt and frustrate them a little bit. It showed. I had talked to one of the players after the game, and they said to themselves, they said the Clash they didn't react well to. It kind of put them on tilt and kind of set them off their game. And they did what most teams do, which could be a problem, is they're focusing too much on what the other team is doing and not doing what made them so good. And the Soniqs did not play the way that they normally play in that game against Cyclops, and I'm hoping going to the next game, they're going to focus more on themselves and what made them so dominant.
Yeah, which is interesting because they categorize themselves as a reactive team, which means you would think they could make the adaptations in the game. So if they were to encounter that kind of style again, what are some changes they could make maybe from the operator side?
It's hard because when you're on a map like Consulate, you're either going to have like default bans, like you're getting rid of the Nomad each and every time. You might be getting rid of the Thatcher because of bottom floor, so on and so forth. So I do think that operators just become quite static for a lot of teams very quickly, and that's an unfortunate part of the strategy of Consulate. I would like to see them, and I'm going to praise Super here quite highly, after seeing his way of understanding Consulate as a map and having very good map knowledge and understanding when he cannot go for the plan. I'm hoping they stick to that objective style play against BDS, who is also a team with one of the best planters in the world in the hands of BDS. I want to see the two best planters almost in the world go head to head, and that's what I'll be looking for, objective play today. Maybe one just goes a little bit hyper aggressive and throws that on the back foot, but I don't know.
Along on the objective play, on defense specifically, I really want to see Grixer and Rex and Cans and have that chemistry on the roam that they didn't have yesterday. Yesterday was very, very bad. They were playing a lot of 1v1s, letting other teammates get stuck in places they probably shouldn't. They were not really around for trades as like they normally were. So I'm kind of hoping going to this game, they talked about it, they realized that mistake, and there's more chemistry here on the roam. Somebody needs to take that control and make sure it's happening every single round.
I agree.
Especially with a player like Shaiko entering the map. You have to be able to slow that down.
A Vigil, top floor, that's a scary prospect. You need to be able to roam clear him, and then if you want to do it back, the man doesn't balk. He just peeks.
Yeah, it did seem as well, Soniqs, like they're a very, very emotional team. Like super loud, very aggressive, yelling at their opponent. I love it. It's wonderful to see that kind of competitive spirit and passion. I'm not a pearl clutcher. What can I say? Like, I like it.
Same. I love it.
I love it. So it was really fun to see that. I hope they bring that again today. But it can be a double-edged sword, because if you start to fall behind, it can get to you. And they did quiet down a lot in that Cyclops match yesterday. You kind of really felt the energy draining out of the room. So I hope they've amped themselves up again before coming into this match.
Exactly right. One of the big personalities on the team, Yeti, always hyping the team up. He is a very happy-go-lucky guy, and in and out of the server, he's a lovely, lovely guy. I would hate to think that he gets a little quiet today. So that would be sort of the kind of area where I feel maybe some of the other players, especially we're talking about the more aggressive players that need to take map control, make that space. I think Yeti's sort of hyping them up from a flex position. I believe he'll play a lot of Zero today. He's going to be a very important intel player for the team. He's going to communicate to the players that need to act on the information, and if it's slow and weary and it's not act on this right now, it could be quite a slow game from Soniqs.
Right. I'm kind of expecting Rexon as well to kind of be that. He needs to be that spearhead that they've been needing. When Rexon is not performing, he's not getting those entries and taking that map control, making the space for them, the Soniqs struggle. They struggle.
Well, BDS is one of the early favorites after seeing a couple of the group stage games. A lot of people were tapping them to be potential tournament winners, depending on how well they performed. But there were questions, not about their performance in Europe, but about their performance at SI, right? And it seems like many of these questions have been answered. Is Shaiko going to have a better individual performance than he did at the last international land? So far, yes. Is Alems going to step up his game and really put on a show, or at least be kind of the solid player that they need to rely on as a foundational part of this team? And he's been doing well. Is Bride going to live up to his billing as potentially the top support player in the world? He's been great. So are there any lingering doubts you have about BDS? Because their wins were commanding.
Yeah, I still think I need to see today's matches just to get a really good feel as to whether or not that was kind of like the first day, everyone's hyped to be here, the communications are popping off from Alems. I stood there and watched in amazement. The man spoke almost like a rap god to the team for like 5 rounds in a row and didn't take a breath of air. He is the commanding leader for the team, and if he has a bad game, I'm hoping he keeps that up, even though he knows he's having a bad game like he does in EUL.
Yeah, Jesse was talking about statistically, like he's been having trouble getting picked off first, but that hasn't happened in the 2 maps we've seen.
Good. I hope that continues. And for BDS's success, that's what you want. And we wanted really good success from them from SI. I was speaking to Skies about the fact that, I mean, they disappointed me. There is no soft way to put that about SI.
I think you kind of nailed it. If Alems can continue how he's doing on this pace of not getting picked early and allowing Shaiko to kind of maintain that entry position, they will continue to flourish. Right now, they look the most comfortable they have been since SI. I understand they had a pretty decent placement still at SI, but they said it themselves, they were like bored. They couldn't get into the mindset they were at a major because it was in Paris for whatever reason, But going into this event, they look much more energized. They look like they're having much more fun, and they're in it. They look very scary right now, and I want to see them continue to develop.
Yeah, and I think they're very well prepared as well.
Yes.
I think one of the big takeaways from yesterday was, you alluded to this when we were breaking down the last match, but they were playing the kind of patient game with Cyclops. Like, they were waiting for Cyclops to get fidgety, to take those peaks, and they were just sitting there, just playing chill, wanting the duels, but kind of waiting for those missed positions against Cyclops. And very structured, very systematic, solid game plan, dismantled Cyclops. They get an easy win.
And it's funny because they're not necessarily a team that is happy to sit there and wait, especially on attack. They want to get Brede into a really good position to get the objective down. Post-plan positions are some of the best inside of Europe. So I expect them to be a team to, you know, kind of point their players into a position for an appropriate plan and post-plan. But when they went up against CAG, I thought to myself, well, they just continue the trend. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But against CAG, it would have been broke. Team 1 worked that out. Other teams have worked that out. And so they stood back like DZ did against G2 and said, come to me.
So when we're looking at the Soniqs, they tend to run that more structured style. Do you anticipate that this is probably going to be a closer game than we saw from the Soniqs Cyclops side? Are these a little bit closer in terms of style to each other, these two teams?
I would expect it to be much closer, but I still do think BDS is probably going to win based off experience. I think that the Soniqs do have a good opportunity to close it out, but the fact that there is a struggle right now with them on the roam, which is a big part of the Soniqs team, is their defensive side of their win percentage, and they've been struggling more so on that side, especially against Cyclops. So if they don't step it up in that department, they're going to struggle against BDS as well.
I mean, I was looking through all their recent matches. I mean, when was the last time they even lost on this? This is BDS, mind you. I mean, they beat Team 1, Unknights, Ascend, Kavana, Trainhard. The only team they lost to was Team Vitality, another French team, which happens to be their kryptonite. And, of course, it was a 7-8. They lost by 1 round. So, realistically,
so Soniqs are going to know this, though. Like, they've done their homework, so there must be something special about their plan for BDS. There must be, and we'll have to take a look and see if it manifests.
I'm hoping that they are able to manipulate, even if the roam clear isn't good, they're able to manipulate the fact that BDS relies on Brede for plant denial. And because Soup is so good at planting, finding that entry and getting on in, if they can manipulate and isolate Brede away from being able to deny the plant, I'm going to throw out a hot take, smoke ban or something like that. I know, of course, they can use it themselves, but being able to stop Brede from stopping the plant, what does BDS do then? They have to get hyper-aggressive. That goes against the grain of what their strategy usually yields from them. All of a sudden, you're going against what I think BDS's plan would be, and that would make them uncomfortable, I think. Yeah.
Predictions? BDS?
I've got BDS.
I think I did put BDS, yeah.
Oh, okay, makes sense. Is BDS the new favorite to win the major?
No, because every time we say that, they disappoint. You know?
They're not my favorite to win the major.
Your words actually don't have any cosmic power over them. I hate to break it to you, so you can actually just say your opinion. It won't affect anything.
Well, good luck, boys, is all I can say.
All right, a lot of strong teams still here. Obviously, Liquid, and we've only seen the one game from NIP, so not a lot of data yet, but BDS certainly a strong front runner. And to take us into the game will be Intero and Kickstar.
Well, thank you so much, Monty, and thank you so much for the rest of the desk. I don't want to just say the whole desk, because then yesterday we got bamboozled with it just being Monty.
Right.
If you recall.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
We were not expecting that.
This should be a good one. I mean, obviously it's going to be following up a hell of a show in CAG versus Team 1, a map that ended up being way more fun than I think a lot of people expected, myself included.
Fun and very one-sided.
I have very high hopes for this match.
I do as well, Parker. I think that Soniqs and BDS is going to be a little bit higher build than what we expect. We've got two teams that have had a lot of questions around them in recent times. BDS not doing so great locally, but now here at this event, they're looking super solid. And I think all the BDS fans around the world are definitely very excited for their potential at this event. The Soniqs, on the other hand, I mean, some hit and some miss, a win and a loss in day one, and a lot of drama as well. But they do seem to be here to play, and they look a lot better than some might have expected coming out of NAL.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to quantify the Soniqs because their game against Team 1, they looked nice, and they looked fine, and they looked ready for it.
Yep.
And then they got punished by CAG in the next immediate match. Is that because the Sonics weren't really prepared? No, it actually looks like Team 1 just cannot hang at the moment.
Yeah.
So are we overrating the Sonics because of that performance? Well, the desk has BDS winning across the board. So I don't think anybody's overrating the Sonics at the moment. But this is going to be a real test for them, in my opinion, and I think this will give us a good idea of how strong the Sonics really are.
This is definitely going to be a very important match to see where the trajectory of these teams will be right after, obviously. Now, I think most people would have BDS in this one, but I do think that there is that upset potential from the Sonics. I'm really the only thing that's going to prevent that is if the Sonics are in their head from yesterday.
Yeah, no, I agree. There was obviously that whole talked about, and we mentioned it during the very first matchup, that whole like social media interaction between Sonics and Team 1, and you know, I think you just gotta sleep on it and approach today with a relatively clear head.
I hope they do. You know,
for Yeti's sake, I hope that he does.
Right.
As
Yeah.
well.
That's very particularly Yeti. I hope he's able to clear his head and focus on this match.
He was the main villain.
Yeah, the antagonist.
Yeah.
You could say.
Of Rainbow Six yesterday.
Yeah.
But the teams kissed.
He took
they
Super's
kissed,
job.
They kissed and they made up. He did. He did a very good. He did a very good Super impression. And look at that.
He's got a smile on his face today.
Yeah.
And he looks ready.
He's
I hope that's, you know, he feels ready.
Yeah. I hope these teams are ready. We are almost ready.
I'd
for
like to
those
get
that
into
are
the
wondering.
action.
We are deliberately withholding you from getting into the matchup.
Button has not been pressed. I have it right here.
I know. Just touch it.
Touching it.
Good. For those of you also that are tuned in and you might have more than one monitor, we'd like to remind you that there is a B stream where Damwon Kia and Dark Zero are now finally playing.
Right.
It's happening over on twitch.tv/Rainbow6Bravo, and from what I understand, they've actually changed up the casting duos. It was supposed to be Jackie hosting with Ace and Dez casting, but I believe it's Ace and Jackie casting right now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting, and you won't want to miss that again.
No.
That's twitch.tv/Rainbow6.
There it is, right on your screen.
Right on your screen. You could
Right underneath Shaiko.
just read that off and get some good games there, some interesting matches, and yeah, it's definitely going to be a good one. But we've got this match ready to go, and it's going to be Consulate for the Sonics versus BDS.
This is a map that we saw the Sonics pull out in the North American League and look decently strong on, and they needed a victory on this map in order to qualify for the major, but this is also a strong map for BDS as well. So you've got a very fair playing field between these teams, and it'll be fascinating to see how it ends up working out. There's some expectation from the analysts that we would see some funky bans, and now I think we have to retire that phrase until we cast SSG at some point in the future.
Yeah, they'll be the next one. But what we see here early on is that Nomad ban, Thatcher ban. So this is very typical Consulate so far. Nomad is banned on Consulate very often because you need to go for those runouts off in order to make plays on Suicide Balcony, by Yellow Stairs, a lot of different places, right? Nomad being banned out will prevent that stoppage. So Jaeger, that's kind of interesting.
All right, that's a nice one.
Yeah, we get a little bit of variety here. I like a Jaeger ban. I mean, I
can vibe with it.
Yeah, he's still got a good gun. I mean, in the hands of these players, Valkyrie's pretty standard.
Yes.
So
Mira's available.
That's true.
Wamai is available. Malusi is available.
But Wamai is the only denial, and that means that places like Yellow Stairs are going to be very difficult to hold.
Yes. So expect to see a Wamai or possibly a Rooney near 100% pick rate for this match because they need that denial, as has been discussed. And just as I say that, what ends up happening on your screen? But Aruni and Wamai locked in right away. The split bomb site of Archives and Tellers is where we will go to start things off. Defense, obviously, for the first 6 rounds will be Soniqs.
Ooh, okay, 6 picking off of the mute into the castle. So it's likely they don't want to broadcast their bomb site, and that's why they'll 6-pick the castle. Castle is most likely on 2 sites, top floor and archives. Those are your castle sites for this map.
Yep.
You can bring him anywhere, but those are where he's best. So starting off here on this different site, some teams don't actually like archives. You know, we've seen this go completely unplayed by certain squads.
Yep. No, I mean, the 4 bomb sites on this map, they're all perfectly viable.
Yes, yes.
Some teams like the top floor of what a lot of teams refer to as CEO. That's the console office bomb site.
Yep.
Some enjoy going to lobby, garage, and then archives tellers. There's an ebb and flow to Consulate, and the map obviously got some small tinkering done a couple years back, adding this archives tellers bomb site when there used to only be 3 on this map. And now tellers archives has been in the favor of a lot of teams, but you're absolutely correct. It is a stylistic choice for some teams.
Now it's a heavy setup here for the Soniqs on the top floor. Lots of investment into admin office. I like this. It's difficult to pull off, though. I will say a hard hold upstairs in admin is exceptionally hard. It looks like it's going to be a yellow pressure early on, though, for BDS. Starting with the downstairs clear. You can see how Shaiko is following this drone in, and he'll get good information off that Lion EE1D, spraying on the mark, but no shots landed. They're going for direct archives.
They're just gunning for it. That's it. Renshiro gets leadoff kill. Super answers back. But BDS have already stated their intentions, and they've shown their full hand, barging in as quickly as they could. That was only 30 seconds off the clock before that first fray happened. And Grixer takes matters into his own hands. He swats away Rafal. Shaiko's next one up. A grenade goes down for some denial, and he is good enough for that shot. And this is a brawl that will just continue to go back and forth.
As the pause here starts to set in, we have to realize there's 2 minutes left. Soniqs, they fully adjusted for the way that BDS are taking this. That drone gives good information, but Kansan wins his heads-up gunfight. In a 2 versus 2 now, as Kansan has been downed. Shaiko still in that closet. He's got a lot of playmaking potential, and Kansan's back up. But the nade, it doesn't do any damage, surprisingly. Both of these BDS players on 1 shot's worth of HP. They have to land that headshot in order to win, except for against Kansan. But luckily, they still have a lot of time. And look at this, Reday's gonna have the plant. There's no one to stop him. All of the Soniqs are downstairs. Super fights his way out, though. In the post-plant, he's gonna be able to land the shot likely against Brid, but he's only gotta land 1 against most of these defenders. That's a beautiful shot on Super. 1 more bullet, and there's the second, not the third. Bride shut down by Rexon, and he will get that first round with an easy disable as soon as he finds it.
Which he's on it now, by the way.
He got it.
He's got it. Excellently held together by Richie, and the Soniqs will take the very first round on what was shaping up to be BDS dominance at the start. Taking map control early on, pushing to the site, but rebuffed very well by Soniqs, especially through that mid-round, holding the back of the site, reading off of it correctly, and peeking when they knew they had the information to do so, prompting BDS to have to go upstairs.
I think that point you just made is crucial. Peeking when they knew they had the opportunity to do so. We saw Soniqs heavily rotate downstairs to try and stop the direct take from BDS.
Yeah.
Now, had they done that rotation and not gotten aggressive and taken the fights they knew they could, then what we would have seen is that rotation from BDS that we just saw, except for BDS now has more manpower. And that post-plant goes very different in that scenario. So you're right, Parker, and that aggression from Soniqs paid out really well.
So the Soniqs, after doing that, like the bottom floor bomb site, so they will go back to a different bottom floor bomb site, but this one is garage, only narrowly linked together. We talked about denial, Jaeger being off of the board, but there is no ban right now for wall denial. Valkyrie is the other operator that's not available, so a Kaid, a Mute, a Bandit can all be used here. Though you don't see Bandit all that frequently, a Kaid will be brought out instead.
I love those passives because when somebody's throwing a drone through a window, they can't get the warning.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they decide to throw
Yoink.
a drone, then yeah, yoink, exactly. And he's going to do the same thing on the CEO windows, and that's a 2-for-1 right there if you put him between. Ooh, he's going for it, and he'll get some damage. But that's it. Grixer gets away with his life. That's the most important thing.
If you're not hitting a headshot at that range, the damage drop-off on the Roni is quite substantial. So for Renshiro, you're very lucky that you hit your arm or your shoulder or wherever it was. Also, the camera player right now is on Shaiko, and it is now gone. So we wanted to let you know that it was not the same person.
Yeah, Shaiko isn't everybody.
Yes, they did not clone Shaiko 10 times so that you could watch him and him alone.
Yeah,
How
he's
uncomfortably close he is to his monitor.
Yeah, I don't know how he does that.
You got a couple players like that.
It works for him, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeti's going to take some damage, but he gets out of that alive as he goes downstairs. He was playing in the closet of CEO, and the fact that he's made it out with his life is important. Shaiko has returned as the ever-present player. Kansan goes down, and another for BDS as Super follows Kansan to the grave.
But watch the mid-round here, because this was the same advantage that we saw come out from BDS. I think we might be a little bit farther forward than before, and this grenade will finish off Yeti. A slam dunk from Shaiko as Rexon now in desperation gets followed up on, and a skeleton key from Rafal. Grixer, who was the first one involved with any altercation, will now be the last one alive. He gives his position away, and he's very vulnerable with the Nitro Cell being tossed out. Bride cleans up, and BDS with a flawless round will equalize. That's
the second time we saw a player on Soniqs trying to throw a C4 getting shot in the process. Sometimes you just gotta take the fight. Hindsight's 2020, of course, and well done to Team BDS. Losing that first round, not great, but they did go for a very dangerous play, and it just didn't pay out. This last round, not the case. BDS played pretty routine, and it works great. They clear out the roamers, they start focusing on the breach, they get the wall open, and at that point, Soniqs trying to re-initiate for those refrags, they're already losing so many bodies that it doesn't really matter what happens on site.
Well, the downstairs doesn't work out as well that second time. Nope. Different side of the downstairs bomb site.
Right.
Both of these rounds have been characterized by BDS wanting to set that fast tempo. And you know what might aid you in setting a fast tempo in your games? The Team BDS SMG11 skin.
Yeah, of course.
Both Soniqs and BDS have team skins.
They do, yes. And if you want to support them directly, you can get that skin directly in the in-game store. The esports tab, it's really convenient and easy to spot, and it does again support those teams. Now, going to this bottom floor, but heavily investing upstairs, as you can see from the Soniqs. Lots of reinforcements, rotations, Surya gates, the lot, mute jammers to slow down the drone. I like this. I like what we're seeing. I think it's lobby to try and hold here for the Soniqs. So. They still haven't gone upstairs, which we do see that from a lot of teams, especially North American teams. I think that the top floor is often avoided.
Yeah, it seems to have fallen out of favor. A lot of teams have done that with the top floor bomb sites on a couple different maps. Consulate is not unique in that regard. Cafe is a big example of that. Up until recently, that cocktail bomb site on the top floor of Cafe was avoided like the plague. And we see the same thing now with Console Office up here. A lot of teams deciding that lobby is their go-to, with the two bottom floor sites also being alongside.
Yeah, it's back and forth, right? You know, you get the... I mean, lobby will fall out of favor at some point, and then it'll be back in favor. It's the same thing with every map. And we've seen that. We have seen that specifically with lobby for a long time. At first, lobby was hated, and then, oh, wow, this is amazing. And then, oh, I don't like it so much. And it's back to being a pretty viable bomb site. Anyway, focusing in on this round, BDS trying to clear the top floor. You need to do this so you can use that skeleton key and that sledgehammer to play vertically over this bomb site. Also to prevent the defenders from denying your plant from above.
It's been a very slow round, as we're over a minute in and nothing has really happened between the two teams. There's just been that exhaustive intel work. Some droning being done, but as I say that, Yeti sacrifices himself, hopefully for the greater good. As Rexon runs out, he catches two, beautifully played, and he tries to go back in, but the Claymore gets him at the last second.
I mean, he was in a rush. Okay, he was focused on other things.
He was.
Maybe he thought the impact would destroy the Claymore, right? I mean, it wouldn't because of the door frame, but I'm trying to argue, you know, he got 2 kills. We're equal man count. That's all that matters. No, but well played there to Rexon getting those 2 kills.
Of all the things you see, right? That's one of them, and you go, okay.
Nah.
So.
I don't know. I'm trying to help him out.
I appreciate your ability to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's very kind of you. A grenade goes over towards Zed or Zulu, whichever you'd like to call it, and will now be droned out by BDS to know that nobody's playing in that particular area. The next step for BDS is likely to take the reinforced panel that leads into the bathroom. In order to do that, they'll have to shake off the mute jammers that will slow their advance. They realize that main lobby is, at the moment, completely clear. But Grixer on the flank could throw a major wrench in their plans. As long as nobody is looking in that direction, BDS could be very susceptible to that. Bride drops, and there's the coverage that you need. Getting that diffuser down, at some point they're going to push on in. Nitro Cell tossed beautifully, and it'll stop it in its tracks. That was a blind spot. So now Shaiko is on the ascent, trying to stop it as best as he can. Pick him up, but Alems is having some problems. There you go. 10 seconds. Super is the one to be called into action. A 3v2. Super looks the wrong way. Shaiko wins that gun duel, and Kansan will need to clutch out. He won't be able to do it, and BDS takes the lead.
Beautiful play there from Shaiko, holding it down, the rock that his team needs in that situation. And that two-piece single-handedly wins the round. The early engagements went for BDS. That top floor clear, great. Good drone work, nice follow-up. But they didn't expect the run out from Rexen. That's what causes the problems. Now there's that C4 for the denial, and that does enter another question. Will BDS be able to hold it down, get that diffuser back up, and plant? The answer, yes. Well done again to BDS. Soniqs, it's a little bit tricky because they had the crossfire, Parker. They just couldn't win that engagement against Shaiko, and to be fair, not many can.
No. Shaiko, a monstrous round to close that one out on what was a sluggish entry from BDS in comparison to the two previous rounds. But I mean, if you're going to be taking lobby, there's a lot of work you need to do. Number one, you need to drone out the entirety of the bottom of the map, and then you also have to look up top and see who's playing where. In this case, Grixer was the Phantom Illusion who rotated around and nobody seemed to know where he was and could have been a significant difference maker, and it was his Nitro Cell, or rather the Nitro Cell from Kansan, apologies, that almost saved the round while Grixer tried to get to the site and ultimately got caught out. Because again, BDS are investing so heavily in that flank watch role, which is a role that Shaiko has becoming more accustomed with over the years. He's gone from that Hibana Ashe role to playing Nomad, playing Yana, he even played some Jackal way back. The addition of a Lems onto this team, I think, really changed some things up for them and gave them some more freedom on attack. And obviously, this is going way back because the Lems has been on this roster for so long now.
Bomb located by attackers.
Yeah, it's been a lot of growth for BDS, and you know, once again, you know, they've had their stumbles, but I think this event has looked so good for them. And on the side of Soniqs, it's also similarly a story of growth.
Yep.
They've had a lot in recent time. I mean, coming off with that old United roster, going on to the Soniqs and Super staying on as that leadership role, they've had to find themselves over the last half year or so. And it's been a lot of progress for them. They've definitely gotten better, and I think this international competition performance that they're showing us is stronger than many would have expected coming out of NAL, because there are some weaknesses still for the Soniqs, most notably their attacks.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, the biggest weakness for them is that one of their high-flying performers that you expect to do well is Yeti. He's at an 0-3. The frag potential for the Soniqs could be improved upon, but it's still early days. It's a Nitro Cell that went out, by the way, and didn't net anything. That was Kansan who'd thrown it.
Yeah, and they're still going to be looking for anything they can get. Shaiko engages in Projector and wins it out against Yeti, who just tries to dodge. He can't win those gunfights right now.
Shaiko getting that intel is so valuable for his team, and keeping control of Projector is crucial. That was where Bride had dropped from previously. Last round, when he was able to get that diffuser down, they needed that Projector control. If BDS can assess whether the front lobby is clear or not, that'll be the next step towards being able to get this diffuser down. And Kansan just narrowly, or Rexen rather, just narrowly missed out on an opportunity from above. So he'll retreat, trying to slow something over towards Yellow Stairs. But Shaiko's on a warpath, and his 7th pick of this game comes on to Grixer with a minute to go.
3 players up for the Soniqs, and there's the first gas canister detonated. He can use those gas canisters to delay for the majority of the remainder of this round. It's going to be difficult to time that and to keep your life while you're throwing those gas canisters. There's going to be another one for Shaiko. That's his 3rd. Kansan and Super still up. The potential for an ace is there. Speaking of up, Kansan is ascending the Yellow Stairs. He wants to re-engage, and it's going to punish him. Brinchiro slapping him down. No ace for Shaiko, and he's going to be happy with the round win, I'm sure. Super trying to find a fight, and he will, but not directly. Brinchiro gets his 2nd, and a flawless round from BDS. If I'm not mistaken, another one.
Yes. It was a flawless round all the way back in round number 2, and yet again, another flawless from BDS emerges. When we talked about the kill potential for Soniqs needing to be improved upon, forfeiting 2 rounds where you are not able to do any damage to your opponents is less than ideal.
It was pretty rough to watch, and you know, the analysis is really simple. BDS very efficiently cleared out the top floor. The pressure from the Soniqs on top was almost non-existent. They had players by yellow, and those players accomplished nothing, despite having opportunities. That's the crazy thing. Normally, BDS doesn't leave opportunities open, but in this case, they did. And yet, the Soniqs were too scared, frankly, to seize upon those opportunities. and they played the passive engagement role, which doesn't accomplish anything against BDS. You actually do have to disrupt their process, or they will win the round. There is no exception to this. You must disrupt the process. You must take the fight.
Well, obviously, the Sonics are not going to be happy with what's happening so far in the matchup. Joe Bro will try to walk them through, as both teams will be able to communicate amongst themselves. And, well, for the Sonics, there's a number of things that have gone wrong. Number one, their aggression that tends to come out from this team. Rexen, Grixer, and Kansan are all very capable of putting the team on their back. Rexen, in particular, has been one of the highest-rated players in the world for 2 years now. Grixer was one of the highest rated players in the world and the highest rated player in the NA League last year, if you recall correctly, for a period of time. So this team knows how to frag well. They know how to play around that effectively. But right now, their coordination isn't particularly strong. They don't look like they're being able to bounce off of each other all that well, and it's hurting the team.
And, you know, to talk about the other aspect of this, too, is Shaiko. I mean, this has been discussed. When Shaiko is popping off, what can you really do? And that's exactly what's happening.
I mean, how many? No teams really have an answer for that, right?
Yeah, he's got 8 kills over 4 rounds, and obviously that's 2 per round on average.
But
and
the rest of his team has kills too.
Yeah, and the rest of his team has kills as well. But what I'm saying is, an activated Shaiko is an absolutely terrifying thing.
Yep.
And clearly, Sonics don't have the answer. And like you said, that's not exactly surprising. And what can you really do with your Sonics? It's not something that we can give them the answer for. They're going to have to find it out in this match.
No, there are teams across the globe who have not been able to find an answer to the question, what do we do about Shaiko? And there have been matches where Shaiko can carry hard, but the rest of the team, if they don't show up, then BDS's chances can go down, because one man alone is not going to save your entire success or your entire round.
Not usually.
Not usually. But the difference is that BDS added Alems, they added Bride, and that the support network for BDS just continued to grow after these additions.
Yeah.
And it has made them such a formidable team, and that's why they've been one of the best teams in the world and the best team in Europe for so long.
Yeah, they are very versatile right now. A lot of roster depth, you could say. Nate's going in there towards the cafeteria. Nothing happening of it. No success. This hard hold in admin office is working great for the Sonics so far in that they have not incurred any casualties.
And yes, sorry, EUL fans. I know that Kix and I don't cast your region anymore, but over the last year, I do think BDS has been the best team from that region.
Ooh, okay. Hot take. Well, let's see if the take can be hot for the Sonics here, rather for BDS here. As,
Somebody's been playing aim lab.
Oh, yeah. Rexen looking ready for the fight, but he'll back off once again. I'll talk about it later, but Sonics are coming into contact here.
Yeah, and there goes a grenade, sails over the shoulder of Kansan. It'll go off before the magnet can fully come into play and grab the grenade that had already been mid-tossed. This is only 90 seconds into the round. We still got a while to go, but BDS are trying to provoke a fight, looking for angles and looking for opportunities. It seems like Shaiko is understanding Kansan's position, and some of that coverage will go above him as he hits the deck.
I mean, clearly what you could see here from the Sonics is that they're trying to play time as much as possible. We don't know if that's going to work for them yet. I don't think that that typically works against BDS, to be honest with you. But maybe it is the solution. But they are playing as passive as you can, that Sonics are. And it's all about killing time.
Bride just walks into the main lobby on this Teller's Archives defense for the Sonics down below. Lobby control, not as important as you'd think, but there is a hatch that you might want to take advantage of and take care of. Yeti, by the way, still looking for his very first pick, the only player in the lobby not lucky enough or fortunate enough to have one. And with the damage that's being done back and forth, he might need to wait a little while longer. It's Grixer under siege above as Yeti now rotates, and the focus from Sonics is split across these two floors. But the final 30 seconds signal what will eventually become the execute, and BDS seem to be relatively far from it. Bride instead will go downstairs, so they're taking the fight to the basement, and Super will sound the alarm bells. He gets bodied as Alems walks into the site. A triumphant entry for BDS, as Bride will need to get that diffuser down. He attempts it, Yeti drops. Shaiko down for the count. Yeti swatted away. Renshiro taken as Rexen, Kansan, and Grixer all get in on this, and the diffuser gets planted. So in the post plan, Alems and Bride will watch against the 3 young players for the Sonics. Alems holding angle towards Closet. One of the hatches blow open, and Rexen doing this soft destruction. He sees one from above. Down goes Alems. He doesn't hear it. Bride will need to be the hero. He's so clutch. So clutch. We've seen him do this many times. Sitting over top of the diffuser that he himself carried into the site.
Defenders have
He'll look for
located
one. Gets the Wamai, plays off of Kansan perfectly, turns around, doesn't engage. He'll have to deal with the bearing 9 through the bars, wasting time. 12 seconds. 7 seconds is the magic number. Grixer going over there. He's almost out of time himself. He'll have to get on that diffuser. There you go. Bride will need to do it, and he's got it in his path. He can't stick it. There's nowhere near enough time, and it might be a Pyrrhic victory for the Sonics, but the round goes in BDS's favor.
Well played there from Bride, and you said it yourself as it was happening, Parker. He is so clutch, and put that on full display in that 1 versus 3 post plant. Not a lot can do it quite like Bride.
There's nobody else I want in that situation, by the way.
Yeah, in that clutch situation, there's a short list maybe, but I mean, no one's gonna do it like him. Not
Look
like
at that. It's nasty.
He doesn't even need the last kill.
It's nasty.
It's almost more impressive that he didn't get the last kill because you know he's playing for the win.
Yeah.
So we're at a 4-1 right now, Parker. That round just now, oh my. So many adaptations from BDS. We're going for a top clear. They hit a hard wall from the Sonics. And by the way, I was right. As you call this, you cannot play time against BDS. You just don't do that. And that round was a good example as to why. Team Sonics think, okay, we can play time against BDS. We'll hold upstairs. They have to force into us. We'll use our advantage. BDS says, okay, they have an advantage. Let's go somewhere else. So they rotate down to tellers.
Yeah.
And they see Yeti, and they're like, you know what? We don't like this fight. They also have vertical on us. Let's go somewhere else. And so they go downstairs, and they find, frankly, the weakest link on the Sonics, Super, alone in Archives. And even if he gets 1 kill there, I mean, that's a tricky fight for him. He's going to die. He'll be refragged. He doesn't get a single kill, but that forces the players upstairs to clear downstairs, and they do it. That's impressive for Sonics. I really have to commend them for that. But it's not enough. And you get that post-plant situation. Bride is the one in it. I don't know. It's not likely to happen if you're Team Sonics.
Yeah, obviously, BDS have tons of practice in the post-plant, and the clutches that Bride are able to pull off are many highlights that you will see over in the EU League when you watch. Playing off of a sound cue from the hatch that gets dropped and opened up by the Aruni, as we talked about, and then going from there. But that was that round. This is this round. Round number 6, the very final stead for the Sonics on defense. Consulate tends to fluctuate back and forth. Sometimes the attackers have an advantage, sometimes it's for the defense. In this instance, BDS have been the better team, regardless of where the tilt of the map goes. There's been some struggles for the Sonics, and they will need to right the ship at some point. 2 minutes for them to close this gap. For BDS, they're only 3 rounds away from putting it away, and a victory here would mean the next round after is match point. That's the knife's edge for the Sonics.
Ooh, Kansan, very difficult position to play. Really got to prioritize staying alive, and he just barely is. Yeti looking for a repel he cannot see. The push up here on Soda Machine from Alems is tenuous, but Shaiko's in. It's a full repel. Oh, and oh no, the nade gets the player in Cafeteria, and the second is felled by Renshiro. It's just Yeti and Super now, and this looks all but certain as rounds go. But Yeti, important kill there on 2 Alems. Brings it a little bit closer. There's a lot of time for the attackers to work with, and they have the control that they want, and the man advantage. The only thing going for the defense is Raphael being on low HP.
So is Renshiro, though. Not quite low HP, but he's had some damage that's done to him. Down goes Super, Shaiko a double. Yeti with only 1 kill to his name. He'd broken that streak earlier on. A nice flick playing off of it. But the defuse is going down right next to him. Does Bride know? He does. He's very aware of it. And like that, the first half goes in the books. 5-1 in favor of BDS.
I mean, that got a little bit scary for a second if you're a BDS fan, but at the same time, it was through and through a BDS round. They cleared out the top floor.
Through and through a BDS half.
Yeah, 5-1.
Yeah.
You could zoom out, you could zoom in. It was BDS. We'll go on to the second half now. And Sonics now get to attack. They'll bring a 0. That's interesting.
So here is the tale of the tape, by the way, for anybody who's curious. Round number 1 was won by the Sonics. They set an interesting tempo.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very early push from BDS that was very expertly rebuffed, I would say, by the Sonics. after that, things didn't really quite go in their favor. The rotation that came in from the Soniqs, which went to every single bomb site except for that top floor that we had discussed, that CEO/console office,
which doesn't like top floor.
which is where BDS goes right away. How poetic.
Yeah.
This was the one bomb site that wasn't played by the Soniqs. After that, BDS answers the first round with a round of their own, flawlessly done. Immediately follows it up with another victory and then a flawless after that. A timeout comes out from the Soniqs, and what does that change?
Nothing.
Very little, because the next 2 rounds after the timeout go in favor of BDS. A successful diffuser is planted, and every single round thus far, BDS has the opening duel going in their favor.
It's right around now, tactical timeout already used, that you start to question,
Attackers must locate.
you know, what can we really do? What are our options here? Shaiko has not slowed down through the entirety of the first half. 10 kills to round it out. If he's quiet on this second half, maybe you have a chance. But it's just doesn't seem likely to me. Consulate is a map that is typically very balanced as maps go, usually staying around 50% win rate for the defenders, depending on the region that you're looking at. And given that, a 5-1 half is quite damning.
Yep.
Now, early on, it looks like it's going to be an admin office take. I say this because they are droning out below admin office, so they don't have to deal with C4s from below. They also have a player by balcony. And it's going to be Visa control, balcony control. There's the admin control. They'll use this to create a platform to attack the A bomb site known as Projector, where you see a Lem sitting.
Yep. And Yeti will go on 0. This is the first time we're seeing this operator today. Old Sam Fisher making his debut in the SamCam, or the Argus launcher, as it's referred to as.
SamCam's cooler.
SamCam is really well
We're
solved.
saying SamCam.
I think SamCam is pretty all right. And they'll keep that as flank watch. This is something that, with the Nomad being banned out by the Soniqs, you know that they're going to play around that ban. And of course, 0 works in a pinch. Obviously a very different style, and you have to man the camera itself, but still gives you some ideas as to where you might get pushed from.
Yeah, sometimes if you do have a dead player, and that player's manning the cams, it can actually be better because you get a kill off of it. Nade's going in there to Projector. Alems is very pushed up.
Do they know his position? Has he been droned out?
I don't know.
I think he has now.
He's going to contest, but
Where does he go?
Oh, no!
No!
Alems wins that against Grixer, a fight he really shouldn't have gotten. Luckily, Rexon is able to down him inside of Projector. It's unlikely that Alems will be retrieved, but he could drop through the hatch if they don't secure the kill, and maybe then he will be saved. But there are some attackers down here. Yeti could potentially punish this and maybe get a double kill off of it. He's got a peek right now, and there it is! One, but not the second. Still an impactful kill.
And Renshiro's able to get away for that one as it's the final 45 seconds here of round 7. Michael, BDS looking for the knockout blow against the Soniqs. And a victory on their very first defense would spell trouble for the North American squad as BDS would move to match point. So the focus, get into the site, get that diffuser down. It's in the very capable hands of Super, but he's not necessarily as close as he wants to be. Tons of gunfire going out as BDS holds back. Shaiko will be the playmaker watching from connector. Yeti dropped from Renshiro, who's still on the spiral staircase, and he'll need to ascend. A long range, but he can easily see into the thermite of Super and to Rexon out on the balcony. Shaiko punishing, firing away through the smoke. Rexon goes down. Super on a tiny bit of HP, but through the smoke, he gets punished for it, and Kansan will need to play hero. No time for him to get that diffuser. He's in the midst of the smoke, and he's finished off by an evil eye of all things. A tase to the heart, and it might as well be a dagger because it's match point for BDS.
And it's certainly seeming like it's an easy breezy game for BDS so far. What we saw out of that last round was a very basic attack from the Soniqs. They were given the ground that they needed, admin office, cafeteria, they got their platform. But the balcony presence was lackluster, to say the least. The downstairs presence didn't net as much of a result as Soniqs would have hoped. Yeah, Yeti secured that first kill, but he did end up dying to the other roamer downstairs, which then went on to assist the rest of the hold upstairs, preventing that long desk push from the attack. So now you are fully bottlenecked onto a single door at the top of Visa stairs.
Yep.
And that's what happens when you use a basic attack against BDS. We're talking about levels here. You can't be doing those kinds of things against BDS. You need to have some kind of curveball. You need an X factor, a difference maker, or whatever you want to call it. You need some extra edge or BDS will take you on those basic strategy takes. They're not going to let you walk that walk.
Soniqs presently averaging 2 kills a round.
Oh boy.
14 kills spread out across the team through the 7 rounds of action that we've seen so far for the Soniqs. Obviously, BDS in the driver's seat.
I mean, Shaiko was earlier averaging 2 kills per round. So,
5 seconds
yeah.
left.
He's 3 kills off of
Right
Rafael
now.
and Shaiko combined,
Yeah.
Attackers
which is a misleading statistic, so Rafael only has 3.
You get the point.
You get the point.
The kills are very askew, and the 6-1 scoreline is accurately represented right now.
This does bode well for Team 1, though, because Team 1 comes into this matchup trailing the Soniqs by 1 point.
True.
Team 1 with 1 point, Soniqs with 2, CAG with 6, BDS with 6. It looks like another 3 will be added to BDS's column, pushing them up to 9, which all but guarantees that they will emerge from the groups.
Yep.
The likelihood of them falling to 3rd place at that point is virtually 0.
Very slim.
But Team 1 needs to ensure that they don't let the Soniqs get too far ahead of them. Their sights will be on Cyclops to see how CAG does for the remainder of groups today and tomorrow. But that's just mathematics that we can talk about later on, and I know the desk will be fixated on it. For us, though, there's 2 minutes remaining to see if the French team will send the North American squad home from this map. And a good drone from Yeti will spot the Aruni down below, or the Malusi rather, down below. I keep getting the silhouettes of Aruni and Malusi confused.
I mean, the more operators we get, the more you're going to get that confused.
It's the hairstyle for me. It's like the hairstyle, like the texture rated on this screen often gets, they look very similar in like their flow.
I mean, I've made much more confusing mistakes. I confused Alibi for Rook once, or maybe it was vice versa, but I could mix them up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my.
Well,
Because they look nothing alike.
Yeah. Well, confusion aside, this is going to be a lobby defense for BDS. BDS might only have 2 opportunities to defend here, by the way.
I mean, any round they take at this point is going to be, I mean, that's it. So they won't really need too many opportunities, I would imagine. We'll see, of course. Technically, they have endless opportunities on any site right now because they go until they win. Kansan gets firm control of top spiral, and he's going to open up above that banana doorway. That cuts off rotation, and they're going to see some hard destruction somewhere. There it is. Looks like it was on the drop and admin.
Yeah, it was. Birday down below with a nitro cell. He's going to wait for a call out as to where Yeti is. There it goes. Will it work? Pull.
Do it. Do it. Do it. He didn't do it. He has it in his pocket. He's holding it right now.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
Still there.
Oh,
Go for it. There you go.
it,
There you go. There you go. He gets it. BDS 2 big kills to start things off. They are perfect so far through these 8 rounds on opening duels. Their numbers advantage presently stands at 2. Right now, the Soniqs in danger of falling behind the clock with only 20 seconds left. Kansan, a nice pick, though, but he's got to do some more, and he'll confront Shaiko. Shaiko just doesn't lose, though, as he pivots. Can't do much onto Super. The spray transfer does not work out. Grixer down below, but he doesn't have access to that diffuser, so they just need to play time. Where is Super going to drop? He tries to, but it's cleaned up. A disappointing performance for the North American squad. BDS look as frightening as ever as they win the matchup 7-1.
Well, Parker, it looks like we have some very fast matches this morning.
Don't we ever?
Yeah.
In stark contrast to our matches yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we're making up for it. Well done to BDS. A absolutely deserved win. Absolutely. There's no question in anyone's mind who got that one. There were no moments for me where Soniqs potentially could have taken rounds that they left on the board. That was just BDS being better.
Yep, BDS seemed very well prepared, and I know the analysts are going to have a field day talking about the maps as well, as Consulate was the choice, and it just frankly did not look like the Soniqs could keep pace whatsoever with what we saw out of BDS, whether it be in terms of coordination, utility, gunplay, etc. And I mean, Shaiko was on an absolute tear and an absolute rampage today, Michael. Nobody could slow him down, but it's a team effort. Shaiko was not able to do all of that on his own. He was droned in several times.
Yes.
And when on defense, he was playing off of his team's calls and the intel that they had at his disposal.
And also, we talked about always Shaiko enabled, team enabled. It was both this time.
Yes.
BDS firing on all cylinders. What a performance from them. Really love to see Siege like that. And I look forward to seeing them go up against an opponent that is ready to actually play against that BDS.
Yeah, right now, the leaders of the group are BDS. They look far and away like the best team, but Cyclops is nipping at their heels. We still have some questions, though, about Soniqs Team 1 and Cyclops, and if they're just all relatively even and BDS really is that far ahead, or if just some teams have had bad days.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch BDS when we go into the playoffs. And at this point, I imagine they're going to make it into the playoffs.
Well, they got
Let's be realistic.
9 points. I think the chances of any of the other teams catching up are pretty slim, because you've got, if it's not Cyclops making it, it's going to have to be Soniqs with 2 points or Team 1 with 1 point.
Yeah, but that's it for us, and the desk will have more to say on these specific points, so we'll hand it on over to them.
I, too, enjoy speculating about who is going to make it out of this group based on the current point total. BDS, they have the maximum amount of points they could have after 3 games so far with 9, which means that it will be, as we heard from the casters, very difficult to dethrone them at this point. Cyclops can still take first place, depending on how the rematch goes, because they've got 6 points right now, those 2 wins. But certainly BDS, you know, you got to say they've almost locked up at least a playoff berth at this point in time.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not a team that's used to losing. I think the most recent losses in EUL have been the ones that have shaken them up, and the fact that they do have cracks in their strategies. And they've come in here, they've glued all the cracks up, and they've shown that it doesn't matter if it's international competition or internal competition they have with themselves, that they can come through it out and be quite a solid team.
They're absolutely locked in, and they're firing every single cylinder. Like Intero said, these guys came in here ready and prepared for Consulate. So
Yeah. Good map for them. A great map for them.
I question Soniqs' map pool right now because, you know, like I said beforehand, they always say, oh, yeah, we know what we're going to play all the time. That allows us to have this excellent preparation. Well, you know, they went to Chalet and they kind of got rocked, and they got extra rocked on Consulate by BDS. So where do you go if you're Soniqs?
The thing that's complicated with
Chalet?
Soniqs, no, we learned about that against Cyclops. The thing that's complicated with Soniqs is they've played 3 maps in the last 2 stages of NAL. The first stage they played only Clubhouse, Oregon, and Chalet, and now stage 2 they've only played, I believe it was Chalet, Consulate, and Villa.
That's the one.
So now that it's the same situation they're coming into here. They've only played Consulate. They played Chalet. So their map pool, it may be strong and work in NA to like kind of abuse the best of ones, but going into international play, you have to be more flexible. You have to be willing to play different maps. And I think BDS and Cyclops kind of have shown that they are weaker on those maps in international play.
I would have liked to have hoped that all of those maps that they had hidden in NAL were hidden for a reason.
Agreed.
Not because you just didn't want to play it. This is professional leagues. You have to have at least 4 maps that you are competent at. Maybe a little signature map, as we said about Damwon Kia, for example. But you can't be walking in and having a 0% win rate on one of the 3 maps you play. That's pretty bad.
You can't just rely on the same 3 maps. You have to be more flexible.
Yeah.
Well, tough times, but BDS looking incredibly flexible right now. They've been pretty wonderful so far, nothing really slowing them down. Is there a team beyond kind of like the upper echelon of Brazilian teams, whether it's NIP or Team Liquid, maybe Space Station Gaming, depending on if you actually believe in them or not, that can slow them down?
I actually think DZ, I know that's such a weird thing to say, but I would say that if there is a team that can knock out really crucial playmakers in the middle of a strategy that BDS require for their attacking strategies, it would be kind of DZ. And I think, you know, players like NJR who are just awkwardly disruptive are the kind of players that are really going to knock BDS back. They have to readapt again. We were speaking about Soniqs saying that they were a great adapting team. That has not become true, so I think BDS is going to be the one. Maybe DZ. I know it's a weird take.
I actually agree with you. Dark Zero, I think, matches up pretty well against BDS. They've always had close games against them, but against them, the only time they lost was last Invitationals, was a 7-8 game, and Dark Zero again was kind of in like a rough, slumpy rosters position, and now look at them now, they're flourishing. And I think if they matched up again, like Jess was saying, they could perform very well. They have always done super well at shutting down the star players, forcing the other players on the team to step up. And, you know, Dark Zero could beat BDS for sure.
Yeah, and that's a plausible quarterfinal matchup as well, because if you believe that NIP is going to enter or exit the group in first place, then maybe Dark Zero is going to be there in second place. BDS in first, they could actually draw each other into the quarterfinal in the bracket. So that could be a trap game for sure.
That would be awesome. That'd be amazing.
All right, we do have some replays powered by Predator here. You know, bans, nothing too surprising that we saw. Pretty standard match overall. Yeah, I mean, you got anything nice to say about Soniqs here?
Yes. I will say Yeti on Consulate is one of my favorite players. I know maybe he did not perform very well, but the reason I like him is because he understands his role, he understands his job, and he performs it very, very well. Whether it's on the zero or he just needs a drone to do what he needs to do, he's in a crucial position for the team. It's a shame that everything crumbles down around him, because if everyone had done their role around him, he would look quite good and he would be able to, I believe, at least lead the game, doing his job really effectively. So it's a bit of a shame. I believe we have someone joining us on the desk.
We do.
We do. We can. Is that a French accent I hear in the background, possibly?
We are going to have an interview here coming up with Lems from BDS, who 88% on the cost. You know, good game, easy game,
I'm gonna have
easy
to
game.
roast him for not beating Brede on the cost. I mean, Brede had 100%, he got 88. So really, it's not technically the best he could have got.
Well, welcome, Lems.
Hello.
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 Any thoughts on the game? Easy? Easy
no.
major so far?
No, it's never that easy. But I think
fooled
we
me.
had a good preparation for the match.
All right.
What's your preparation like? What do you do with your coaching staff in order to get ready for a game like this?
So first of all, we practice a lot. We are not here in vacation, so even though there is a pool on the roof. But yeah, we are working hard, practice every day, and we have our amazing analyst, which is here in doing an analysis for us. And like he's watching all the games. I'm watching all the games as well as IGL. I think it's really important. And yeah, good analysis, good mentality. Everyone like very happy to be here, and yeah, I think it works like this.
Not sure if you spotted me yesterday, but I stood right there as you guys were sitting there, and you were like a rap god. You did not stop with the instructions, the communication for like 5 rounds straight. Obviously, and I know this in EUL following you, you are a critical leader, one of the best leaders inside of EUL. Do you feel that now that you are, I guess, cemented in the team as a very competent leader, that you're also picking up your personal playstyle a little bit more? Because I know you're playing a little bit more fragging role, as well as trying to lead the team at the same time.
Yeah, like it's kind of hard to like beat the IGL and try to frag as well. But like I have amazing teammates. Like I said, I'm the IGL, but like we are basically all AGLs. Like we can call things every time, like every round. If someone has an idea or something, they can call for me, or like Renshiro, Shaiko, Rafael, or they can call. If like I'm out of idea, for example. And so, for example, on those games or those rounds, I can more focus on my aim and try to frag, So yeah, I think like the synergy of the team, like it's good. Like to be in AGL on this team, it's pretty good.
Nice, there you go. Got anything, guys? Come on, play to player.
More so, going into your game with Soniqs, you know that they played Consulate pretty often. Obviously, you guys do your research. You guys as well are very good at Consulate. Was there any worries you guys had specifically against them going into it?
To be honest, we knew that they were a good Consulate team. We look at the stats and they have a pretty good win rate on it. But we know what we are capable of on Consulate. I think we played them up pretty good, I mean in Europe at least. We saw what they did against Team 1 yesterday and overall in the NA League. It wasn't that surprising. It's like something we are used to do in Europe, like classic admin takes and stuff. So yeah, we said, okay, guys, they do classic stuff. If we play like normally, maybe we bring some counter or some counterplay. Sometimes we can maybe annoy them, and yeah, it works. Like for example, the Vigil on the last round. Like I know that they were kind of passive on that side, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay on Visa until they come to me, and I leave at a good time, I think, and make close time, like those kind of play.
So do you think strategically from what you guys had watched previously from like NAL and against Team 1, did they change anything, or is everything pretty much what you guys expected?
To be honest, I think they changed some stuff, but they maybe try to play a bit more aggressive compared to Team 1. For example, we are not how to say, we didn't see it coming, you know, when they run out on us and kill 2 guys, like Rexen, I think it was.
Yep.
We didn't expect that because they play kind of passive on versus Team 1. But yeah, like in Europe, we have very aggressive teams, like MKers. Or friend MKers. See you, MKers. So obviously, we practice them a lot, and we are kind of like used to play against aggressive teams. So when we saw that, I was like, okay, guys, they are not afraid. So let's play like we play like MCurse, for example. Like we
Aw.
we have different game style that we can play against aggressive team, etc., etc. And so when we saw that, we decided to play this.
There you go. Damn. Well, for me personally, you know, I'm obviously a huge BDS fan. I'm a huge Alems fan, nevertheless. Do you think your performance in Stage 2, and okay, you're not technically the kings of Stage 2, you've been the kings of every other stage, so it's okay. You've given that, you know, sort of crown to someone else at the moment. Is that temporary? Were you saving your energy for the major, or what's going on the BDS camp?
I think the main reason about us finishing fourth, first of all, is the motivation, because obviously when you play like at your maximum level, you put all your effort for 1 year. At the start, like at the end of the day, you start being bored a bit.
Okay.
And the goal is to keep the motivation high, and that's why we had maybe this kind of bored moment, like pre-invitational and after 6 invitational. That's why I think we finished fourth. But like after the stage, we like went, okay guys, let's keep the motivation. We can do it. We are a good team. Let's play the game, have fun with playing the game, and I think it shows in the major. I mean, we are feeling very comfortable here. We are very pleased to be here. Like Mexico is an amazing country, to be honest, and like insane vibes. And yeah, like I think it shows. Like we are so happy to be here.
The difference of you guys on this stage compared to SI is very significant. It's you can tell.
All right.
You can tell.
One piece of advice for your European brethren in G2 who have been really struggling. What would you tell them they need to do as they head into their next match, which is going to be on stage very quickly?
I mean, don't be afraid and just offrag them. You're from Europe. You should be offrag people. Like, you should offrag Come on, you're from Europe, man.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so thank you very much, Alems, for joining us. I'm going to throw a smoke grenade of replays so that you can get off the stage undercover, okay? So I'll be your support right now. Ready? Go replays.
Bless. What a brilliant bit of insight into BDS as well.
Oh yeah,
I love it. Yeah, getting the job done for sure here. 3 games in a row now. They have swept everyone in their group. They've beaten everyone. Now they just have to do it one more time. But given how easy it looked, I think you could probably see that coming. Question now will be, because they have such a commanding lead, do they try and mask some strategies for later on? Just kind of play a little, standard and maybe take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit.
I absolutely would after the next map. So if I get another 3 points and I'm statistically in such a good position that I don't need to show things, I absolutely would. I think it would actually be quite irresponsible of a team if you had 12 points and start showing everything. So hopefully they've got their cards quite reserved after that.
Agreed. That's where they should start using this time to prepare new things, like you're saying, and then also not show all their cards immediately in the group stages. In the playoffs and best of 3s is where you have to be more and more creative, more and more adaptable, and prepare even more for different maps. So I wouldn't show all my cards already.
Yep. Well, not the most exciting match overall. Pretty easy cruise control win there for BDS. But we do have a highlight from round 5 that you guys wanted to dive into. It's a post-plant scenario that ended up in BDS's favor. So why were you so intrigued by round 5?
So in round 5, it was the lobby archive defense from the Soniqs here, and they were struggling to clear out admin side. Nothing was happening. They were kind of just sitting there stalling out. The Soniqs they played very disciplined. They didn't move. So BDS actually opted to go Teller's side, which didn't happen. You can see here on the screen is Yeti is holding it down. Yeti is holding down Teller's completely. Grixer and them still have the top control, so even if they kill Yeti in Teller's, they still have to worry about the top control. So whoever made the call here from BDS, I assume is probably Alems, to hit the site in the basement, was a very smart call. They completely rushed down. They're outpowered by Super, or I'm sorry, they outpower Super, and now they have the whole site. And the bomb goes down. The Soniqs attempt an almost crazy retake that probably shouldn't have happened, but it doesn't matter when you have someone named Bride on your team.
He is the clutch god. I think back in stage 1 of last year when EUL first began, he had the most 1vx's out of the entire league. We called him the best support in the entire world. Mind you, Rexon has surprised me through and through. And well, when Bride was in a 1v3 situation like this, post-plan, he has 20 seconds because of the 7-second defuse, of course. And that is a lot of pressure. You can get absolutely annihilated if people peek at the same time, but you gave the man 3 1v1s. And as the clock is ticking down, Bride knows he needs to play time, but he also needs to keep peppering shots to keep Grixer on his feet. Unfortunately, with Grixer, shotgun, short range, does he go SMG 11? Is there enough ammunition? time is out, there's no defuse time, and that's an easy 1vx to add to the stats for Bride.
Yeah, really. I mean, with the defuse time, that there wasn't really an option there to actually win the round by the end. So you can't stick the plant because he's peeking you, and you can't finish the plant because of the time.
That is the story of the Sonics so far in these last 2 games. There was no team play there at the end, giving constant 1v1s and just out of position. I don't know what's going on with those guys, but I talked to one of the players beforehand and said that's something they're going to focus on for this game, and I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it worked out.
I would like to think that whoever made that executive decision to peek down the hallway without having the player dropping hash pushing at the same time, not that you want to call a player throwing around, but I would like to think that they had a really good critical think about their team play and how that works in future matches, and that we don't see that situation
All
again.
3 of them threw that round in some way.
All 3 of them in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's disappointing, especially since the Sonics started out with that win against Team 1 and potentially put themselves in a position to make it out of the group. Certainly going to be a lot harder now. Well, the French team continues to roll here with BDS. We will be seeing them again later today. That's only their first match. But we will also be taking a little break right now while we switch our analysts and our group. We'll see you then.